All right, cyber traders, welcome on back here this Wednesday, August 18th, shortly after 2:30 p.m. Eastern time. Welcome on back here for our afternoon meeting. Great to see all of our students and members alike inside our live trading room, including Michael, Leda, Ed, Bonnie, William, Gene, Troy, Gary, the rest of us. If I did not shout out your name, I apologize. We got too many of us here joining us here this afternoon. And alongside those of us there, us on social media, Facebook Live and YouTube, welcome on back. So we do have class coming up, finishing up the Phase 1 stock course that is later on today at 3:05 Eastern time. We'll be kind of introducing our final, program that we use to track volume, the big buyers and sellers out there, and it's the program that we use to track once the iceberg orders really get filled. I'm referring to time and sales. So this is going to be a very interesting, very important class, and I'll be able to go through the tape with you folks, showing you what it means, how to read it, what happens when the orders from level 3 get filled, and how to read the tape entirely. So, with that in mind, we'll make sure that we go through this meeting rather quick. We do have Bitcoin to get through also, so I might be talking a little fast. I apologize for that. I did not have coffee before I started this meeting. However, I do know I'm a little stressed for time. PMCB right now, that is, to begin, this stock was an animal for us going into the market open today. Ended up making a big pop a little bit later on as it pushed up towards 10. Then ended up, the wheels, fell off this thing. Ended up getting halted, I think, twice on the way down, if not just once. But, easily got halted at least once on the way down, a couple of times on the way up. But, normally once a stock gets halted on the way down, that's game over. That's a wrap. And I think I said that at the time here. It only continued to dump off, made another drop. I think this is where it got, halted a second time on the way down. But hey, ended up making a nice recovery from that push. But right now at this point, I don't know. I feel like it's not going to make as clean of a push for us from this point forward. If it does during this meeting, then you folks call it out for me. I'll come back to it. Then we'll put it on our list in that case. But for right now, for a stock trading 185 million shares today, and prior to today, it was trading just 550,000 shares on average the last 50 days prior. I'd say it's very heavily traded. So, for right now, we'll pass on this trade. It ended up making a second win type of move just before. If you were able to catch it off the break from 750, then you ended up doing pretty well. But for right now, though, I'm not really fully sold on it just yet. We're also coming off the Fed minutes meeting, not like one of the bigger ones across the calendar year, but one of the smaller ones. I say it that way because given the way the market reacted, the S&P ticker here, the S&P ETF ticker, that is SPY, ended up popping up at first. All right, so be it. I thought it would pull back, but damn, this thing ended up shaking right back down, broke down very fast, made a slingshot here right now to make a practically a full recovery. So very volatile market here heading into the close. Let's see what else we got here otherwise. SGOC, another stock that I was assuming would make this second win type of move here at this point, ended up getting halted on the way up a couple of times. I think this got halted on the way down once also, and that's it, right? So ended up totally dumping off, made it like a little bit of a bounce, I guess, a little bit later on, but now at this point pulling back. VRPX, tongue twister stock there, but I ended up making this huge fly up here early in pre-market. I know Fausto, commented on this. He was in this trade as a swing from overnight from yesterday, just 100 shares, but that's all you need on a trade like this, right? I mean, you don't need to do 1,000 shares. And granted, if you did that and you hit it big, congratulations, right? But the last thing that you would want to have happen is to be there at the right place just at the wrong time. And, hey, we say that for stocks like SGOC. We say that for stocks like PMCB also, right? But even furthermore, for as much as this moved up the last, 48 hours, imagine getting stuck in this on the way down. Just brutal. So, yeah, for right now, I wish this was shortable, if anything. This VRPX breaking all-time highs from yesterday, that is. I don't know. Oh, I guess those two toggled, I guess. All right, we'll keep it going. Let me get the price column out here. I got a chat from one of us on YouTube. From Trey, he's asking for the AQST, please. All buy ratings from analysts now. So we'll go down this list here, and then if it's on there, I'll check it out. And by the end of this meeting, I'll go to it at least. AZRX at cheapie, popped up early, dumped off though. This ESGC also cheap. Move on. Ooh, nice trend at least on AGFY. I don't know what the stock is. Agraphy. Thin order book, so I'm not as keen to put it on our main watch list right now, but it's not only breaking, highs of the day, or it recently has, breaking all-time highs right now. Has been, like day over day. Interesting swing trade, if anything, right? Trading what 1.5 million shares right now. Just right now, kind of consolidated here in between 33, 32. Very thin book for right now. I wouldn't be as particular about this if I wasn't teaching coming up later. If I was trading later on today, I wouldn't be as interested in that. SLI, hey, I know Fausto called this one out at least during the morning audio commentary that we had. I mean, pretty much finishing up 10 o'clock, 10:15-ish area. He ended up making the call out as it broke out higher off 660, and hey, ended up going up a little bit more after, right? Broke out over 710 a little bit later on, ran up to 750 and dumped off. EPIX, I thought I had this on my watch list. Was it on my notepad here today? It may have been from yesterday. Let me zoom in on the daily chart, actually. This EPIX stock, this may have been on the losers list from, well, I mean, you just tell from Monday, actually. You could just tell as it dropped off quite a bit from basically 1150.12, ended up dropping all the way down to a low of the day, 742. Now it's making its dead cat bounce here. If it was closer to the highs, I'd be more interested. If the order book was more filled in, I'd be more interested. Yeah, for right now, I'll pass. Listen, we're in the dog days of summer. We can't stress that enough as well either. You don't want to force a call out there. You don't want to make a post on a stock that, not to say untradeable, but either watching the grass grow, giving us much less opportunity on the trade, like ACRX, this thing. It's just a waste of time right now, it seems like. Verb. All right, we're familiar with this stock, at least. VERB ended up making a big pop for us going back into mid to late July and early in the month too. Ended up making like a day over day gap, but ended up pushing up pretty nice for us back then. And hey, right now on the way up to 2. You got an iceberg order at 205, 26,000 shares, practically like right above the high. So for right now, I mean, it might be a little slow, but very tradable. We're familiar with the stock at least, and if it doesn't move today, perhaps we'll keep it on our side list going into tomorrow morning. The VRP stock here. All right, so we got one at least. Let's see what else we got. Ooh, maybe 2. GRVI pushing up right now. New HOD here, testing 650. The stock ended up popping and dropping for us going back into last July or back into the end of the month, late July. Ended up popping in the pre-market, pushed up towards 750, and then completely dumped off after. You can just see the red candle on the daily chart. But for right now, hey, pushing up for the meantime. Trading actually prior to this little inch up here, I gotta say, it was trading like really piss poor volume. I mean, it was trading maybe like 1,000 to 2,000 shares per minute prior to that little push up. So I really hope that there's a lot more left to it. We'll put it on our list for right now. Gravy. Got a couple pings already on Benzinga Pro. So, definitely I know that there's a couple more stocks that I will be adding to this list. Probably find them on the gainer side here at some point. UXIN could be one of those, right? I mean, a little slow as well, but we're also very familiar with this stock. Ended up making a big push for us, across the springtime. Ended up dumping down for us going into mid to late June. Was shortable at that point, as it is today. But right now, you don't want to short this thing. This thing is at the highs right now. It looks very strong. Again, I'd say the only issue on this still is trading only about like 4,000 or 5,000 shares per minute. I guess that's a little bit more than the last one. But yeah, for the meantime, we'll add it. UXIN. I mean, definitely tradable stocks, right? That's the only reason I'm putting these stocks on our list, and we're familiar with them more importantly, but nothing really like wowing me just yet, gotta say. Folk, FULC, the stock is shortable, ended up running up really nicely, at least going into the early afternoon, completely crashed back down, pulled back below the high that we had from Friday last week, it seems like here, too, right? So interesting. That's where I always say if a stock runs up as much as this, or even more, if it craps out the other way, if it breaks down below a big support level, breaks a trend line, potentially it could be a short opportunity. This thing, though, I mean, the spreads are ugly on this. This wouldn't be the best stock to try and do that on. UXIN, if that were to break down, at least from that point, that would be a lot better of an opportunity. But let's see what else we got here. KXIN ended up making a nice push for us going into the late morning, the early afternoon. I had called it out as it was pushing up towards 350. Unfortunately, it ended up dumping off right from that point. So I don't know. I was pretty interested in this earlier. For right now, not as much. All right, so I scroll down the rest of the gainers list here. A couple other familiar names. LAC Lithium stock. It's at the highs right now. Popped earlier in the morning pretty nicely here for us from like 15-ish up towards 17 and change. At the highs for right now, so definitely I'll add this to our list. Again, though, it's like crap volume, though, about 6,000 shares per minute. Normally, the stock trades more. XBIO, my scanner's refreshed on me here, it looks like. What else we got here? We had Tiger, TIGR. This was one I was more interested in here, at least. So a little shaky right now, but stock ended up making a really nice slingshot from 14, ended up pushing over 14.50, popped over 15, traded really the 50-cent increments pretty nicely. And right now, it's just shaking around and underneath 16 for the most part. So, you know what? This Tiger trade I'll add to our list, and this one I like the most. This one I'll probably put to the top of the list by the end of it all. All right, so you know what? I'm going to jump ahead because before we go over to the losers list, I wanted to mention one of the stocks that Benzinga Pro ended up calling out for me here. It's a stock that we're familiar with, but I didn't know what the chart looked like. So JMIA, across the last few hours, really has been pushing up pretty nicely. Doesn't look like the best chart across the after hours yesterday into the market open today. Let's see, is this earnings based? I'm going to check the news here really quickly on this, if there's any. Jamia. Let's see. There's nothing here. I got no headline, no news out on this stock, so that kind of detracts me from putting this on the watch list. Although it is very tradable, it's moving up pretty nicely. Maybe I will come back to this at the end. Come back to this at the end of it all. All right, let's hop over to the losers list. Today is Wednesday. I'll try and go through Bitcoin quickly, but we do have the class coming up later on this afternoon at 3:05 Eastern time. So we'll go losers list, Benzinga Pro, Bitcoin, and then I'll round it up with the chat board. If there's anything else that you would want me to call out, start typing it in the chat board here early, and then I'll just check it out at the end. ABUS, for as much as this pumped up yesterday, sure dropped off here today, huh? So again, was shortable. This one ended up kind of flying under our radar quite a bit. After the market opened up, we were more focused on the stocks that were on the watch list, at least. ABUS was one of them, but, really, we were more focused on Tilray, the VPRX, the, PMCB trade, SNGX. That one was a loser also. But, this one was tradable on the way down. Great short. It's at the lows right now, support at 3. If we're desperate, maybe we'll put this on our list. But I want to see if there's something like faster, something that I feel like could provide us more opportunity on the way down. If it breaks below 3 here, I'm not sure if this is going to make as much of a move for us. CODX, you can say the same for as well. For as much as this had pumped up going into the end of last week, going into the beginning of this week, had sure dumped off between yesterday and today, man. All right, so just checking everything else out here on the loser side. DD, new IPO, it took a hit today, ended up dropping off. I think, was this earnings based also? Had a drop in the no, that's not after hours. That's 5 o'clock in the morning. Let's see what the news was on this stock, but ended up making a big drop. For right now, pretty flat. Oh, not earnings based. Following a Bloomberg report, China's Ministry of Transportation is drafting measures to ensure the rights of ride sharing amid trucking platform drivers. Interesting. All right. I knew that this was like a company that ended up coming out tablets for, I think it was Uber and Lyft drivers, if I'm not mistaken, there, DD, but ended up dropping off quite a bit over the end of last week and then obviously here this morning. All right. Keep it on your side list, I say. From Norman, the NAOV, ooh, this one popped up pretty nicely. I'm actually going to the chat boards here first. Then I'll jump to Benzinga Pro. This is actually popping up on my Benzinga Pro right now. But yeah, NAOV popping over 3 here. A lot of buying coming in off the pop. But after that, the volume kind of dissipated, dropped off. Volume traded per minute, that is. So I'd be careful for this thing to snap right back down for right now. But good call in the meantime. If it can hold over 3 or maybe slingshot again off of 3, perhaps that can make the real move. GRVI did pop. Yeah, looks pretty good. Big spreads, though. Big spreads. All right, so let's go to AQST from Trey on YouTube. He was looking for that from me earlier. Oh, geez. So, the thing is, Trey, we are day traders here. We are following volume. We're looking for momentum. This thing hasn't traded any volume today. Hasn't made any sort of move, right? So if you're interested in learning more about what we do, I would make sure to join us live inside our trading room. Just go right down to the link on the banner below. If you're new to this channel, at least, if you're not looking to do that just yet, just at a minimum, make sure just to hit the like, subscribe, notification icon right there on our YouTube stream, and that'll give you the best chance just at following these meetings more. Fausto, in the morning at least. And for right now, at least, it's AQST. I mean, if it has good analyst ratings, perhaps over the next, weeks, months ahead, it'll be a good swing trade. But right now, this has nothing for us. It works. I skipped over Dan for a second there. I apologize. But from Mitch, works. Let's see. This is pushing up over 11%. Wow. Yeah, just made a nice pop here. Good spreads. I don't know if I skipped over this or if this was climbing up the list as I was going from top to bottom, but yeah, we're familiar with this stock too. I don't mind putting this on our main list here for right now. And then ALF he follows up with. I like it because it did make a really nice bounce back up here, practically from 9 up to 10. Dropped off a little bit from the after hours yesterday into the pre-market this morning, but it's still pretty close to yesterday's high. If it could re-break that, see a lot of buying coming in off at 10. Perhaps this really can run up higher. We are familiar with this stock. We talked about it yesterday, 24 hours ago, right? The stock ended up making a huge pop for us going back into late June, beginning of this month. Broke all-time highs at that point. That's an ugly shake though too. So you know what? Hey, if you did well on the stock back in late June, early July, you know who you are, right? I wouldn't forget that I did well on the stock, right? I did all right on it, but if you really hammered this stock going back into last month or the month before, then you know who you are. You would look to follow this more so than some of us who would be more timid to, right? I'd rather those of us that are more level 1 to 2 students to follow more of like the verb stocks that are on our watch list. Should this break out over 2, perhaps this can make a really nice run. Even the LAC trade, good spreads on this stock for the meantime, a little bit pricier. The UXIN, I mean, a little bit slow, but if that can get going, that we've seen that stock run in the past, and Works too, right? Works is already popping. All right, so from Dan, NAOV, yeah, same thing, right? Getting back to this stock, right? This one has good spreads. I don't mind putting this on the main list. If this ends up snapping back down, then you just move on to another stock, I'd say. All right, so we're making good on time for right now. Really quickly, I'll just show Benzinga Pro really fast, and then otherwise Bitcoin. Then we'll finish it up. All right, so Benzinga Pro signals page here. I was gonna say singles page. It's not ematch.com or whatever. CEMI. There's the Jumia. That's pushing up still. So maybe we do put that on our list at the end of it all here. That's still pushing up higher right now as we speak. But otherwise, not a whole lot, really. A couple names here and there, but JMIA is really the one that kind of is a constant. So I'll go to that before we finish up. But while I'm here, let me just get my Bitcoin chart up for right now. What is this, 15-minute? No, I got to go to hourly here for right now. All right, so the hourly chart. What does this look like, folks? Just looking at the simple graph, not the moving averages, not the trend lines, just Bitcoin itself. If you were to describe this, chart pattern, what would you call it? Start with this because this is just relatively simple. Bill says sideways. You can call it sideways. I would call it sideways. That's an acceptable answer. Nicholas says uptrend. Well, it was trending back up pretty nicely, and perhaps you can still say it is off of like the lows. But over the last few days, this is a relatively clear rounded top. Relatively clear rounded top here, right? So, if we happen to see the market slip off over the next, 24, 48 hours, see continuation from the drop that we had initially after the minutes meeting ended, perhaps we'll see Bitcoin make a shake back down towards like the 500 EMA here. Today, that is right around 43,000, that is. That's all I got for you on Bitcoin. Not a whole lot to really write home about there. Otherwise, I'm still in Cardano. I ended up actually doing something relatively risky, but for me, I knew what was coming on it. I ended up actually selling like 5.5 or 5,500 ADA. I ended up switching that into a triple leveraged token that follows ADA. So when this crypto pushes up, the coin that I'm in now ends up pushing up like 3 times that, 2.5, 3 times that. So we'll see what happens. I ended up doing that right around 196, 197. It's pushed up since. All right, so that's it. Let's check out Jumia, and that's all I got for you here today. My total ADA count, by the way, is not just 5,500. I got a little bit more than that. So I only took probably about let's say a small fraction of my total amount out and then put it in that riskier triple leveraged one. What do we got here? Let's see, from JMIA, right? That's the one I wanted to check out. Yeah, not only did it push up a little bit higher, but a volume spike, a nice volume pop there too. So, it looks like a big burst where 23,000 share print came in, and then otherwise just a slew of prints coming in underneath generally. Well, I mean, the high of the day, but more so 1890. 1889-ish. More of those yellow prints that came in are underneath that price. So, you know what? I'll put it on our list. The volume's interesting to me here. And if anything, perhaps we'll use this as a case study going into the afternoon class coming up for the Phase 1 stock course. All right, so folks, for all of us on Facebook and YouTube Live, YouTube or Facebook Live, I'll never get those names right, but if you have any other questions, thoughts, comments, suggestions, feel more than free to send over a quick email. I always like to do this, although I haven't done as much this week, but there's my email address, josh@c2trading.com. If you have any questions prior to joining us in our live trading room, feel free to send over a quick email. Otherwise, come right on in, come dive right into our live trading room by going right down to the link on the banner below and just signing up. But otherwise, for all of us there right now, the 115 of us live right now, Leda, Ray, Norman, Nicholas, Bill, Debbie, and otherwise all of us. I look forward to speaking to you folks coming up in class. I know that Rich will be on the mic taking you folks going into the market close. Take care.